immigrants contribute far more than they take to the U.S. economy. And I think there was 1,436 economists from all different backgrounds that wrote an open letter to Donald Trump advising him that immigration is a net benefit. Virtually every single economist agrees on this.
And
well, none of these are asylum cases, or they'd stop.
Dude, I never stopped saying the same shit for years. That's why it's so funny when motherfuckers are like, Hasan, you changed. It's like, bitch, you can say many things about me, but you can't say I changed, okay? I'm a goddamn broken record, dude. I am a fucking broken record. Oh, baby Hasan, being a leftist has aged you 100 years, my God. No, I just have a beard. If I shaved my beard and put on makeup as they put on my face there, I'd probably look not that much older than I am there.
Stop in the first country they get to. The idea
also,
of asylum
you're talking about
is something
almost fucking 10 years ago, dude.
Like, there's a Holocaust, there's a potato famine. No, this is how these people always live, which is why all of different countries want to come to, the biggest welfare state in the world. That is the United States, and get welfare checks. And yeah, okay, you got economists to sign a letter. Dumping poor people on America is not making us better. They are far more likely to be receiving welfare, and that's just your average illegal immigrant, and immigrant are way higher to be accepting government assistance than American.
How would they accept government assistance?
Applicants don't have to wait at all. They instantly get given food, housing, everything, but they aren't asylum cases. These aren't people fleeing one corrupt, I'm trying to kill you. Otherwise, they'd get to Mexico and say, phew, home free, I'm in Mexico. No, they want to come to the biggest welfare state in the world.
I mean, the American welfare state might be big in totality as far as our population goes, but it's definitely not as encompassing as plenty of other European nations. But that's besides the point. You mentioned welfare. Can you describe to me specifically how undocumented citizens take advantage of our robust welfare state?
They can't walk to Sweden. They can walk to this country.
No, but you're not answering my question.
They can also walk to Mexico, and they're not stopping there.
Okay, but you're not answering my question.
Well, you
if they're
say
coming to the U.S. welfare.
What's up, bitch? Okay, good. I'm heavy. I've gained weight. Mirage just got back from flight training. Doesn't have enough hobbies that are devastating and deadly that he started learning how to fly a plane and land one. Okay, he says he's not the best at landing yet. All right, I'm done looking at the Ann Coulter shit. All right.
This could soon be classed as a terror gathering. The group behind the protest, Palestine Action, is set to be banned by the UK government and labelled a terrorist organisation. The decision follows this. 2 activists breaking into an Air Force base in central England, spraying red paint into military aircraft engines and damaging them with crowbars. The government says it's the latest...
No, I can't believe that. I can't believe that they did such a thing. I'm so mad. British aircraft supplying munitions to an ongoing genocide. That's cool. That's fine. Disrupting those operations. Ooh, not good. Terrorism. Hasan, they injured an aircraft. Yet another anti-Semitic hate crime, chat. You see this? Yet another deeply anti-Semitic hate crime. These were Jewish airplanes. Okay? That's right. Many of you probably thought these were Christian airplanes. They weren't. They were Jewish. So very clearly, this is an act, perhaps the most heinous act of anti-Semitism. We are all equal. Gifted 100 gifted subs. God damn. That's right. You support illegal acts. Oh, that's funny. Oh, no. Yeah, the Jewish airplanes were doing birthright. They were about to do birthright, and they got and they got anti-Semitically disrupted. It's really messed up. This guy got so mad he fucking couldn't even type. This is crystal knocked, but for airplanes. If you keep talking like this, your haters might start to think you don't love Israel. Bargles, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Yeah, the paint cans were paint cans of Hamas. Eliza for the Bears. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Yeah. Anti-plane Semitism.
It's example of the group's campaign of criminal damage, but Palestine Action calls it a symbolic protest.
Trigger warning should have been applied ahead of time. I apologize. I know many of you live in the Cars universe where airplanes are real human beings. I know that you are looking at these beautiful Jewish airplanes that are anti-Semitically attacked this way with Hamas spray paint. Yeah. It's really fucked up. Really, really fucked up stuff. I'm so glad. I hope the British government immediately jails these people permanently.
Protest, saying the proposed ban is an overreaction.
This is a really troubling move for anyone who cares about freedom of speech, for the right to protest in this country. We're seeing an evaporation of our rights as we speak.
Since 2020, the group has mostly targeted arms companies with links to Israel's military. The UK Interior Minister Yvette.
They're dope. Palestine Action is. This is like the maximum. Well, not even the maximum, but like as close as you can get to a maximalist position on like disruptive initiatives against different parts of the process of the genocidal entity continuing its ethnic cleansing campaign.
Cooper says their actions meet the legal definition of terrorism because they involve serious damage to property, but many legal experts disagree.
It sets a really worrying precedent that could impact anyone who takes part in protest or
Extinction Rebellion gets told to attack BP and oil companies that directly worsen climate change by the right all the time. Yet putting that sentiment into practice like Palestine Action did by attacking RAF bases makes them terrorists. Protesters can't do shit, I guess. Yeah, also, they didn't blow up the planes. They just, like, basically disrupted the flights for a little bit. Like, consider the terrorism of what they did. Who the fuck is panicking because of Palestine Action's direct initiative here? Like, who is there? Is Britain swept away with a sense of panic? Oh no, the RAF today, and then I guess what, Elbit Systems tomorrow. I am terrified. I am Elbit Systems. I'm Mr. Elbit of Elbit Systems. Okay, so when someone engages in a direct act, of disruption, I, as Mr. Elbit, am terrified because I want to keep making weapons that I send over to Israel. Like, I guess everything is terrorism. Not if it was engine. No, it was engine destroying paint. I mean, who cares? I don't give a shit. Never mind. I can't say too much, but oh no. No loss of life, very little damage. It's just material harm caused to a genocidal entity. Keir Starmer literally defended previous saboteurs that did similar things in objection to the Iraq war. Absolute effing hypocrite. The man is supposed to be a human rights lawyer. That is kind of funny. You're right. I forgot about that. That does add insult to injury. Yeah, Keir Starmer unironically did defend the anti-Iraq war protesters that did that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Political activism. Criminal damage is already illegal. If someone breaks the law, they should be charged and tried into the normal processes. That's how the justice system works. But banning an entire group under terrorism laws, in our view, is a blunt and extreme measure. If the government can ban one protest group today, it can ban others tomorrow. Thinking of climate activists, anti-war campaigners, or even local community groups and organizations.
He's such a piece of shit, dude. What a fucking asshole. Starmer defended protesters who sabotaged military aircraft. Prime Minister represented one of the Fairford Five who disrupted military operations at airbase in 2003 against the illegal and justifiable Iraq war. And the defense he used was that criminal damage is an appropriate part of civil disobedience if it's calculated to prevent a larger harm than the damage itself. I mean, that is the appropriate metric here. So yes, these kinds of disruptive actions happen all throughout history. We hear about them in the aftermath as brave heroes, as we will probably cover the Palestine action direct engagement in a similar vein later down the line. The vote to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist org was thrown in with two violent Nazi groups so that anyone voting against the bill would be called a Nazi by the media. Really fucked up. Maniacs murder cult MMC and the Russia Imperial Movement RIM instead of voting on each group individually. Wait, they took Kneecap's visa too? Police launched criminal investigation into Bob Villain and Kneecap Glastonbury sets. I thought they only took the I thought they only took the visas of Bob Villain. Did America take Did America take Kneecap's U.S. visa? Does that mean their fucking fall tour is cooked? I mean, I assumed that it was inevitable, but I thought they took Kneecap after Coachella. Kneecap star unfazed about U.S. visa being revoked. There's people being starved. Irish rap group Kneecap have opened up about the prospect of future shows in the U.S. following calls to axe their Glastonbury set. Kneecap made pro-Palestine statements at Coachella in April this year, causing critics like Sharon Osbourne to slam their set for promoting terrorist organizations like or spreading hate. Soon after, resurfaced footage of a 2024 Kneecap gig in London saw a band member. No, you didn't. Liam O'Hara charged with a terror offense for allegedly displaying a flag in support of Hezbollah. Though the musician was released on bail. Yes, as I've said, Irish people are the coolest white people on the planet, straight up. Straight up. They're fucking real ones, dude. I love those boys. They are real ones, okay? They're amazing. Also, let's talk about the not so cool white people in a second after we're done with this video.
Organizations, they could be next.
And the move is unprecedented.
This would be the first time that a protest group using direct action like sit-ins or damage to property is banned as a terrorist organization in the UK. It would place Palestine Action in the same category as ISIL, Al-Qaeda or Hamas, with anyone showing support for the group facing up to 14 years in prison.
Isn't there an initiative to remove the prescription of Hamas and Hezbollah as terrorist groups, by the way, in England? Wasn't that also a move that was being pushed for? Which is a smart thing to do. They should absolutely move them. They should absolutely no longer prescribe them as a terrorist group.
Prison. A decision that could have far-reaching consequences.
Hamas, yeah. Houthi, no. What do you mean? Like, are you saying don't remove the Houthis? Is that what you're saying? Listen, if you're a British Sunni Muslim who's pro-Palestine and you have this kind of energy against the Houthis, I don't think the Houthis are even prescribed, but I might be wrong. I'm just going to keep it a $1.50 with you. Yeah, just shut your bitch ass mouth, okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't think the Houthis are a terrorist group in British, under British law anyway. Okay, let me tell you something. Yeah, shut your bitch ass mouth, okay? Shut your bitch ass up. Sunni Muslim, how the fuck did you nail that? What do you mean? He's pro-Palestine but anti-Houthi. He's pro-Palestine to the degree of like changing the designation for Hamas as a terrorist group, but also simultaneously wants the Houthis to be designed as a terrorist group. This can mean only one thing. There's only one type of guy who feels this way. It's a fucking Salafist Englander. You're fucked up. I do stand with your shit, brother, but it's not Hamas. So everything should be removed too. What? No, everything should not be removed. I don't think ISIS should be, or Al-Qaeda should be removed. I don't think that, okay? Yeah, you just hate the Houthis because they're Shia. There's only one kind of person that will be like, yeah, I'm pro-Palestine, but also really fucked up that there's only one entity in the region that's like actively fighting for their emancipation. So does me. So Houthis do bad shit towards Islam and Saudi, dead ass. First of all, they're fucking Muslim. They're just Shia Muslim. And secondly, why the fuck are they doing something towards Saudi Arabia, you think? Perhaps it might have something to do with Saudi Arabia's previous fucking famine upon the entire fucking Yemen population. Not just the Houthis either. Yeah, no shit, dude.
For how protest and dissent are policed and judged in Britain. Milena Veselinovic, Al Jazeera, London.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe.
Keep stuttering. You're an incel. It's not what your mom was saying last night. Stop it. Saudis are oppressed by the Houthis. Lamau, I know. The Houthis are so oppressive to Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, one of America's most valuable allies in the region, that is a participant, basically a participant in the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, by the way. A recipient of the Abraham Accords. Yeah, real fucked up, these Houthis, man, what they're doing to the small bean Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, real fucked up. The Saudi still doesn't have a nuke. That's what's really fucked up. Really messed up. They need to do that immediately so they can defend themselves against Sanaa.
The Israeli military has been increasing its military pressure on the Gaza Strip for the last few days, and has moved into parts of the eastern part of Gaza City, to Khan Yunis, and into Rafah, and is clearly taking as much territory as it can under its control before maybe it's forced into a ceasefire next week. And the idea of a ceasefire next week, being driven from Washington, as we know, is being pushed by President Trump. So next week, Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister, goes to Washington, and a lot is clearly going on behind the scenes, both with the Israelis and through Qatar and Egypt with Hamas. And President Trump now thinks that he has a...
I like that we're just fantasizing about this when there's no hard lines. And the only thing we know about the ceasefire, the quote unquote ceasefire that Israel agreed to, is that it's only 60 days, which directly goes against Hamas's very reasonable position, which is a permanent ceasefire. Isn't the whole defense against labeling Israel and America terrorists that they're state actors? So in that sense, shouldn't no governments be labeled terrorists? Not a moral argument. I think that Israel and US are terrorists. No, you can do a state sponsor of terrorism designation. Iran has one. Cuba, ironically enough, has one. What is this? Brianna finding out she sold her soul to the people who despise her. How sad. We'd love to have you. I just found out I can't convert because I'm trans. So yeah. Oh, womp womp. Wait, she was going to fucking convert to Judaism? That is crazy. First of all, there are literally trans rabbis. God, she's so fucking stupid. She's so goddamn stupid. There are literally rabbis who are trans in the Reconstruction, in the Reconstructionist form of Judaism. Okay. So not only is she wrong, she's just stupid. She's so fucking stupid. Not in Reform, maybe even in Reform. I don't know, but I know literally for a fact that there are Reconstructionist rabbis that are trans. I wouldn't be surprised if even in Reform there are trans rabbis too. Not just trans Jews, okay? Rabbis. So Brianna Wu is so fucking stupid. This is the same thing as those British girls who converted to Salafist Islam and tried to join ISIS. Literally. Wait, what? Motherfucker tried to convert to Orthodox? Wait. Fielding an entire inbox of anti-Semitic death threats this morning. I get so much social blowback for being pro-Israel. I genuinely might as well convert at this point. I mean, I get all the downsides of being Jewish already. Might as well get the upsides. Yo, this is awesome. This is sick. This is the most anti-Semitic thing that could have ever happened. Okay? I'm sorry to all the Jewish HasanAbi heads. This is basically a nuclear bomb of anti-Semitism. Brianna Wu coming out and being like, the zealotry of a convert is going to be spectacular. Oh my God. I cannot imagine. Oh my God. I think the big thing is I just genuinely vibe with Jews. I totally assumed you're Jewish, lol. That's because I have no filter. Honestly, I think we need to take a look at your DNA. I am adopted. Israel only accepts Orthodox converts. She wants to make Aliyah. Yeah, unless they're Russian or South African. I don't think many of the Russians were Orthodox converts or even Jewish. Even with like any sort of like matrilineal association, but just like straightforwardly no association with Judaism at all. Someone spoiled it for her in the comments. You just need one Jewish grandparent? Yes, but sometimes if you're Russian and you just simply say you're Jewish, since you're in the white variety, that is definitely at least like an Ashkenazi need in the country, they just go, all right, that's fine. I guess you're Jewish now. Also, I'm pretty sure, like I said, the South Africans that left South Africa after the end of the South African apartheid pretty sure they were not Jewish, let alone Orthodox Jewish. She accidentally joins Satmar and learns their views on Israel. Okay, I don't think Satmar is going to be accepting of Brianna Wu, and it's not because of it's not because of Brianna Wu's opinions on Israel. Okay, that's not. What is this? I would bet a lot of money I get called a dirty Jew more than most Jews do. What the fuck? Short TikTok on South African converts.
The Ugandan Jews.
No, this is different. This is not even. Oh, this is the Jews that live in Uganda that Israel did not accept. This is a totally separate. This is a totally separate group of people. Because initially there was an attempt to potentially make Israel in Uganda as well as Argentina. I wonder why Israel doesn't accept these guys as Jewish.
Known as the Bayudaya. These are a small community in eastern Uganda who converted to Judaism when Jews came to Uganda, as the British government made the historical proposal to give Uganda to Jews. Yeah? I sometimes wonder why anyone would have such an idea if it is not anti-Semitism, where the British didn't want any Jews in Europe anymore and sent them here. Anyway, when Israel started implementing its policy of granting any Jew in the world free Israeli citizenship, the Bayudai of Uganda filed their request to move to Israel, but were all denied Israeli citizenship for not practicing Judaism enough.
What? That's crazy. What? That's so strange to me. I thought it was the one singular Jewish nation state. What? What's next? What are you going to tell me that Ethiopian Jews receive kind of a similar treatment? No.
However, the white South Africans who converted to Judaism as their racist apartheid regime collapsed in 1994, barely practicing their new faith even once, were quickly granted Israeli citizenship and fled to Israel. I wonder why.
Speaking of Brianna, who another one? Now I saw that. That's how we started talking about this. To those wondering why Judaism has express rules against being trans, Deuteronomy 22:5, a woman must not put it on a man's apparel, nor shall a man wear a woman's clothing, for whoever does these things is abhorrent to God. So trans people cannot convert to most streams of Judaism. Just another reason we should not be living in accordance with a 2,500-year-old text. Then there's Deuteronomy 23:1. No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male organ is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord. What the fuck? That is straightforward. I didn't know it was like that. In my cousin's Orthodox shul in New York, the assistant rabbi's wife transitioned to male. It was accepted. Charedim in Israel do not determine what is Jewish. That's why we have a reform movement. Judaism contains multitude. Israel only recognizes Orthodox, so no, Israel would not accept her. I didn't know that. I thought if you were... Wait, there's no way. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the fucking South African quote-unquote converts were Orthodox. I think they just kind of pick and choose depending on how white you are. That law likely has something to do with eunuchs or those who work within the royal courts of empires of that era. Homeland Security Council meets to discuss the threat of Zoran. What? Trump's Homeland Security Council sets its sights on Zoran Mamdani. Okay. The fact that this was like a meme 2 days ago and it's becoming like a real proposition is crazy. President Donald Trump's Homeland Security Advisory Council, a group that includes Rudy Giuliani, cop-turned-actor Bo Dietl, and the founder of Bikers for Trump, held its first meeting on Wednesday to discuss the top threats facing the nation. The conversation quickly turned to New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani. After hearing Giuliani deliver a speech against asylum-seeking immigrants, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem chimed in. I want to ask you, do you want to run for mayor of New York again, she asked, drawing cheers and applause from around the conference room. Bo and I have been talking about putting together some kind of strategy. It's doable if it's one candidate. It's a suicide mission if you're three, Giuliani said. Longtime GOP politician, by the way, Rudy Giuliani would get fucking destroyed. Rudy Giuliani has a harder chance of winning the New York mayoral race than fucking Eric Adams does at this point. That's so funny that he thinks he could just like run. He has a harder chance of winning the New York mayoral race than fucking Curtis Sliwa does. It would be so funny if he ran, though. Oh my God, I hope he runs. I have a better chance of winning the fucking New York mayoral race right now if I decided to join than Rudolph motherfucking Giuliani. Are you kidding me? He would get a collective total of 8 votes. I don't even think he is eligible to run, but that's besides the point. Let's say he is. He has a better chance of splitting the Red Sea, which, according to Rudolph, is not that big of a deal. It's happened numerous times, which is my funniest, forever the funniest way to talk about anything related to Judaism is like, it's not a big deal. It happens all the time. That's what he said. Oh man. Okay. Where were we? Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi slams Zoran Mamdani as a bad example who made lofty utopian promises: free public transit, free college tuition, more public housing. Ugh, gross. Lawsuit claims Giuliani said, "Get over the Passover. It was like 3,000 years ago." He also, Jews want to go through their freaking Passover all the time. Man, oh man, Giuliani once said, according to the complaint, which was filed on Monday in the New York Supreme Court, and indicates that the comments were recorded. Get over the Passover. It was like 3,000 years ago. The Red Sea parted. Big deal. It's not the first time that happened. So many things in this statement are hilarious because it's like, this implies that the Red Sea literally parted, and not once, but on numerous occasions, okay? Which didn't happen even one time in actual history. So what the fuck is he saying? What does Rudolph Giuliani know? How many times has the Red Sea parted? Get over it. It's not a big deal. It's not the first time that the Red Sea parted is the funniest fucking thing to say. It's just one of the funniest ways to talk about Passover or anything related to Judaism. I am unimpressed by Moses' activity in parting the Red Sea. Many other people have also done the same thing. Oh, breaking, U.S. contractors say colleagues fired live rounds at starving Palestinians in Gaza. American contractors working at Gaza, 8 sites run by the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, told the Associated Press that their colleagues have been firing live ammunition, stun grenades, and pepper spray at the desperate Palestinians seeking food. Videos and internal reports reviewed by the Associated Press backed their claim, revealing chaos, injuries, and unqualified contractors operating with little oversight, something that, again, we have been warning about for months at this point. Here's a video of the event.
Heavily armed American security contractors at one of the sites discuss how to disperse Palestinians nearby.
Hey, got an IDF tank posted on the northwest corner now. I brought him in and talked to him. Let's do a show first. I told him to hold there. I don't want this to be too aggressive.
At that moment, bursts of
There's literally gunfire in the background, by the way.
gunfire erupt close by. At least 15 shots. The camera's view is obscured by a large dirt mound. The contractor who took the video told AP that he saw other contractors shooting in the direction of Palestinians who had just collected their food and were departing.
Yep. Hell yeah, boy, he says, after shooting a starving Palestinian. Yes, I did hear the yee ass motherfucker in the background. How many more incidents like this do we need to see directly with our own 2 fucking eyes, even being now reported in Western media as well, for people to realize that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was literally from the jump supposed to do exactly this? The ones that did not want to participate in this literally were like, I don't want to do this. I am a fucking mercenary and I don't want to participate in this. I'm leaving. That's what Jake Wood said. Or what was his name? Yeah, Jake Wood, the Marine sniper turned mercenary who was in charge of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, very quickly quit. This isn't being covered much, but this guy's literally in prison for crucifying a priest for Israel, actual domestic pro-Israel terrorist. I think that guy is he's like a psycho. I don't think he's not Jewish. Adam Schiff, an extremist Zionist with Hebrew tattoos around his neck, compared to the I've seen this psycho confessed to the gruesome murder and crucifixion of a 76-year-old pastor, Bill Shoneman, in April 2025 in Arizona, the first of 14 pastors he allegedly planned to kill. He did convert to Judaism? I thought he was evangelical. The IDF denied the Haaretz report on the orders to shoot aid workers, but then changed the rules of engagement to make it harder for soldiers to get permission to do so. And now here's a soldier whining that he can't shoot into crowds as easily anymore. Read message to Israel's Channel 14 correspondent from an Israeli soldier frustrated that new orders limit when troops can open fire on Palestinian civilians approaching aid sites. Full English translation. How's it going? Hillel, I'm writing to you from Rafah, near the Humanitarian Aid Center. Listen, we woke up to a morning with new directives. Until now, it was allowed to use deterrent fire on Gazans approaching the secure distribution sites. I'm in the tank, watching them arrive there at a time they're not allowed, and we're just dropping tear gas over them and ending the event. This is just insane. Now, even to get approval for deterrent fire, you have to go up to company commander. Not even fire to kill, just deterrent. Sad face. Crying face. The soldiers refer to deterrent fire, the military's term for live ammunition fired at Palestinians to push them back from aid sites. The policy, he says, has now been restricted and requires higher level approval. So if the Haaretz reporting was untrue, why did the IDF issue a new directive, I wonder? One of the replies to the post by Channel 14 correspondent. What a bunch of morons. Do you realize that your tweet confirms the Haaretz investigation? Soldiers could shoot at will, including artillery, at people looking for food. After that, you'll scream that the investigation is false. In the earlier translation, slight correction, of the Israeli soldier message, we said troops were dropping tear gas. A more accurate rendering is, now I'm in the tank, watching them arrive there at a time they're not allowed, and we're just flying a drone over them and contain the event, not a tear gas. Also, company commander is better translated to battalion commander.
Hi, Mr.
So, wait, that was a horny face, not a sad face in the screenshot? Oh, what the fuck? He's not even crying. Not even fire to kill, just deterrent? Wait, what? Is that... Oh, this is the other side, by the way. Shouts out to all the girl bosses that were flying those girl boss planes over Iran. Israeli pilots finished bombing Iran, had leftover missiles, so they dumped them on Gaza to avoid waste. Hundreds of airstrikes, hundreds of massacres, not for strategy, but to save resources, to save fuel. Gaza as a dump site for war crimes. Full dehumanization. This is an article from Israeli media, from Ma'ariv, that says, Air Force reveals for the first time, this is what the planes that intercepted the Iranian threat in Gaza did. Pilots who were busy intercepting aircraft heading towards Israel from Iran found their planes full of weapons after the operation. Thus, the planes turned to drop the remaining weapons on Gaza. Israeli pilots asked, can we dump leftover bombs on Gaza? Command replied, do it. What began as a local initiative became a mass bombing policy. Gaza wasn't a battlefield. It was a dump site. Casual cruelty, calculated carnage. But yeah, keep crying about fucking people saying death to the IDF, by the way. Keep crying about that as though that's the most pressing issue. Keep wondering why people are even fucking saying death to the IDF, for the record. Why so many people actually agree with the increasingly more radical language coming out of the anti-Israel crowd. How much more resentment the average person has towards Israel. Keep deluding yourself. You know? There was a conversation I saw. I rarely watch Piers Morgan videos at this point because I don't want to fucking rage bait myself and develop an aneurysm. But there was one I saw with a very kind Palestinian man. He had a British accent. It was a short clip where Piers Morgan was like, well, one can also fucking be considerate, repugnant to say death to the IDF, while also calling out the Israel's crimes as well. And the dude was like, I'm the worst person to ask about this death to the IDF thing. And then he explained exactly why he's the worst person. He's the Australian British doctor. That's a Palestinian doctor. Where does anyone have the clip? I want to watch it. Injuries nearly in 1 in 3 distributions. Biometrics and surveillance. GHF and the Israeli army claim troops are not deployed at 8 sites, but the contractors described Israeli tanks being used to intimidate crowds. They literally openly stated in the video that we watched. He's from Gaza and he has the nickname Beast from the Middle East. I mean, he seems dope. Shut the fuck up. We are all going to be blamed. Shut up, chat. We will get in trouble. I mean, yeah, don't say anything extra crazy in the chat.
Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF.
Didn't say death to Israelis. They said death to the IDF again.
Who are Israelis?
When people say death to America.
This is the, oh my God, this is the guy I yelled to. I said, shut the fuck up. Talking about Palestine. Wait, where's the doctor, bro? No, not this guy. This isn't the guy. He was in the studio. The person that Piers Morgan was talking to was in the studio. This is why I hate watching this fucking guy's channel, dude. It just like pisses me off.
I remember when I was in Gaza,
this is the guy,
and I've
yeah.
watched some of your debates, and you were saying that you were having a moral quandary over what was going on. It's not a.
But first, I'm joined by British doctor Mohammed Mustafa, known to many of his followers as the Beast from the Middle East, who has first-hand experience in Gaza. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
You were grimacing when I read your nickname there, the Beast from the Middle East.
Yeah.
But that is your unofficial title, right?
Yeah. I've been called a few names in my time, but that's one that seems to have stuck around.
Why that? What's that about?
Well, I used to play like a lot of sports. I used to play professional rugby and
professional rugby. Is at 21, 28. This guy's a beautiful soul, okay?
It has passed, but for millions of Americans, yeah, and also you
She's like a Black Mirror episode. Look.
Oh, this is it, yeah.
I mean, she's the equality minister, isn't she? Look.
Why are you laughing when you say that?
Because it's kind of like a Black Mirror episode, you know? Sometimes it's parody, you know? It's a parody. I think like everyone was watching what's, you know, in Glastonbury, just then what's happened in Glastonbury, you know, the chants, right? Death to the IDF, right?
What did you think of that?
Well, you know, what I thought of that is just like, you know, they are more concerned and more outraged by a chant than the actual crimes of the IDF.
Can't you be outraged by both? Because I was.
Look, you can be outraged by both.
Watching thousands of people at an English music festival chanting death to the IDF.
Yep.
I found that very unsettling. And I'm not Jewish.
Yeah.
If I was a British Jew watching that, I would feel very, very unnerved that a British audience like that. And the irony that, of course, Hamas had obliterated young people at a music festival on October the 7th. I didn't like that. And I think it's perfectly possible to think that is outrageous. But it's also perfectly possible to criticise the Israeli government for what they're doing in Gaza.
I mean, look, you're asking the wrong person about that, because I've had family members killed for generations by the IDF. I've had my home destroyed, my village burnt down by the IDF. I've held children who were riddled in bullets by the IDF. I've had to have children in a corner while their mother bled out to them on the floor and covered their own children in her blood as she died because of IDF bullets and IDF bombs. So, you know, when you ask these questions, like, why are you asking a Palestinian who's been...
Well, I'll tell you why. Because, for example, when the Iraq War happened, my brother was a serving officer, for example. My issue was not with him. My issue, I campaigned against it as editor of the Daily Mirror. My issue is with Tony Blair and the...
He loves using this.
Labour government that ordered him and his colleagues into battle. So I think blaming soldiers in war is...
Bro, who's killing the kids? It's the fucking soldiers. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, this just following orders narrative doesn't work for the Nazis. Why the fuck should it work for the Israeli occupying force? Yeah, I called him out on this. First time I went on a show, I said, you're using the fact that you were on the right side of history with Iraq to justify this ongoing ethnic cleansing operation. It's ridiculous, man. It is fucking utterly ridiculous. If you believe truly in your heart that this is a genocide, then you can't fucking get mad at people saying death to the entity that is doing the genocide. It's like a very strange position that some of these people now arrive at, where they turn around and they say like, oh, well, sure, it's a genocide. Sure, there are war crimes taking place every single day. But also at the same time, like, you, should also criticize the groups that are fighting against this genocide, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Okay. And simultaneously, you shouldn't even criticize the fucking force that is conducting the genocide. It's ridiculous. Also, the narrative that UK Jews are afraid because someone said they didn't like a whole ass foreign military is insane. If I say down with the Chinese army, Chinese Americans aren't going to suddenly start quivering in fear. Yeah. It's ridiculous. There's no world in which like Piers Morgan would have this kind of attitude towards ISIS. If someone was saying death to ISIS, no one would be, Piers Morgan would be championing it. He'd probably say death to ISIS himself. Anyway, are you saying there shouldn't be any criticism of the axis of resistance? Pretty much. Yeah, in the process of them resisting against Israel's genocide, yeah. Because most of the criticisms directed towards the axis of resistance are completely cynical, oftentimes exaggerated claims, or completely cynical claims to just like somehow justify striking the fucking axis of resistance instead of striking the entity that is doing the genocide. So yeah, I agree, but they do more than just fight Israel. Okay. Once that stuff is over, we can have a conversation about that because it's utterly irrelevant. The reason why the Houthis, or the reason why Sanaa was being bombed, is not because they were homophobic. The reason why Sanaa was being bombed is because they were striking Israel. They were punishing Israel by implementing a blockade on the Red Sea. The reason why Hassan Nasrallah was assassinated alongside thousands of Lebanese civilians by the Israeli state was not because of his opinion on gay people. He was assassinated because he was playing a formative role in resisting against Israel's genocide. So it doesn't fucking matter what their perspective is on their domestic policies or any number of different things that people try to criticize these people over. I am aware of these issues, but that plays zero role in this argument, just as this would be akin to saying that Easy Company was comprised entirely of segregationist, homophobic women beaters. Okay? Don't you think that that would be a stupid assessment to make about the Allied forces during World War II? If you can understand that America was, as a matter of fact, a segregationist, homophobic, queerphobic, woman-beating country at the time of World War II, when World War II was happening, okay, I would agree if the Houthis were as successful as Easy Company. Yeah, it's a little harder when you're the poorest nation on the planet and not a fucking industrial hub like the United States of America was, that had the capacity to literally shut off oil to one of the fucking Axis countries that literally bombed Pearl Harbor, occupied Pearl Harbor, which was a military island at that point. You know, a clearly very different set of circumstances, don't you think? You're about to get clipped and taken out of context by pro-Israel magats? No, there is no out of context in this situation. I've said this time and time again. The American military was fighting a righteous war against the Nazis and against the Axis powers in general. It does not matter what the internal domestic policies of America was at the time. Do you see what I mean? That's it.
It's
anyway.
Realistic prospect of producing a 60-day ceasefire, the terms of which we've seen before. Basically, the release of all hostages, the withdrawal of Israeli forces substantially from Gaza, and the beginnings of some sort of political process to talk about what comes next in Gaza. Well, there are a lot of details to work out. Would all the Israeli hostages be released? Would all Israeli troops withdraw from Gaza? When we think about Gaza, the Israelis have always said we have to keep some troops in the two vital corridors in Gaza. So the Philadelphia corridor in the south is really important to us because that's the border with Egypt, and we have to have control of that in order to make sure that stuff...
This clip was making the rounds? Oh, yeah.
I'm really glad that this has happened because it's giving us an opportunity to expose the IDF and say, what is the IDF? The IDF is a monstrous imperialist army that has killed over 100,000 Palestinians on behalf of Israel, and it is committing barbaric acts every single day. And the way that the media has reported on this has been astounding, but it actually makes people feel sick because, yeah, there was horrific violence over the weekend, but it wasn't at Glastonbury. It was in Palestine. It was soldiers from the IDF consciously shooting Palestinians who are queuing up for aid. And they do that on purpose.
Okay, so
in
you
fact,
are
they are
aware.
instructed to do that.
So hold
they are
on.
instructed
Fiona,
to do
you
that.
are aware.
That's disgusting.
You
And I want
are
to see an
aware
end
that
to that.
Hamas have instructed.
No, I
Is that saying death to the IDF when that army is currently committing a genocide, when there are recorded and verified instances of them firing on unarmed civilians while they're waiting for aid to be distributed, recorded instances of gang rape, children being admitted to hospital with sniper wounds to the skull? I think it is an appropriate expression of rage and disgust.
Oh, yeah.
So in this particular instance, you say, because of what the IDF has done in Gaza, you would say shouting or leading a chorus, death to the IDF is legit. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. The same way.
This chatter is exactly echoing the sentiment. People want to discuss the bad things these groups have done and point to them not being morally great, but then completely don't do the same when you have to look at conflicts like World War II. The Allies were the good guys. We were fighting fucking Nazis, but even then the Allies committed many war crimes and heinous acts, but people don't focus on those. It's completely hypocritical to then look at groups that oppose the IDF as evil. It's pure hypocrisy, and that is precisely what it is. That is why I say the domestic affairs of the Ansar Allah movement or the domestic affairs of Hezbollah as an active political entity within the Lebanese parliament, or the domestic affairs of Iran, or the domestic affairs of Hamas are not pertinent to this conversation. Every single criticism that people make about these groups, they are making cynically to justify their cleansing, to justify their ethnic cleansing, to justify their death and destruction. And I don't play this cynical, stupid fucking game. So people lose their minds and they go, oh, you're defending them. Their actions against Israel, I am defending. No, they didn't get banned for that. It was too long. That's why they got auto-modded. That's it. That's it. And these people don't get fucking killed because of their homophobia or whatever. They get killed because of their resistance against Israel. Using an example of U.S. in World War II, it is fair to criticize their behavior in the process despite their righteous goal. The right side can still commit war crimes, firebombing, mass rape, nuclear weapons, etc. Would it be wrong to focus on that over the Nazis? Yeah, once the fucking war is done, yeah. Also, you're once again talking about a straight up state. You're not talking about a fucking incredibly limited gang of people that are armed, comprised entirely of like the orphaned soldiers that are using bathtub-made rocket fire against the one of the most well-equipped military forces on the planet that is supposedly, quote-unquote, defending a nation with nuclear arms. It's ridiculous. There is no comparison between these two parties. You're talking about the American military during World War II, a state actor, versus fucking Hezbollah or Hamas or the Houthis. But even then, the criticisms of these actions come after the treaties are signed. That's why I've never said that like they shouldn't prosecute potential war crimes conducted by Hamas either. There should be a prosecution of war crimes that were committed by Hamas, but it should also, the punishment should also be adjusted to the much more severe, much larger crime of apartheid and genocide. You understand? And that is how it happens historically. That's why, that's precisely the reason why, like, if I recall correctly, in the aftermath of the apartheid, the end of the apartheid in South Africa, were there people that had engaged in ruthless practices such as necklacing? Yes, there were. Their punishments varied. And ultimately, I don't even think that many of the people who participated in the ruthless practice of necklacing got punished at all. Why did they not get punished, even though what they were doing was unacceptable? The reason why they didn't get punished is because their actions are always judged by the harshness, the severity of the actions of the oppressive entity here, the oppressive force. Necklacing is a practice that the ANC's militant wing utilized against collaborators who were working with the apartheid government, where they would take tires filled with gasoline and put the tires around the necks of the collaborators and then light the tires on fire. It was a horrifying method of execution. And the reason for why it was so brutal, which is, by the way, Hamas also still executes collaborators with regular frequency, with whatever limits that they may have. Sometimes those collaborators are the ISIS-affiliated wing that is now known as the Popular Forces, so they just like engage with them in gun battle and kill them. But in other instances, they will literally take collaborators and hang them. This is in some ways, this is no different than the IRA used to do kneecapping, for example. The name kneecap comes from literally shooting collaborators of the British state in the knees. Ruthless and brutal practice. Every single successful and unsuccessful resistance group has utilized similar horrible practice in times of war in emancipatory battle. This is an unfortunate byproduct of existing under military occupation. That happens all the time. But then also, once again, when the dust is settled, oftentimes the people that participated in these actions don't always get punished because their actions and the brutality of said actions are oftentimes matched against the systematized form of violence coming from a colonial entity. But if you think that like the United States of America or numerous other countries that were engaging in war during World War II, if they didn't also have a practice of like jailing dissidents and even sometimes assassinating them on the fucking spot, you'd be wrong. It's war shit. I have a delay, so I can't really talk. That wasn't a question. Sorry. I was saying it's not wrong to criticize it in the process as long as you're not focusing on it over main perpetrators. A fair, non-cynical, and relevant criticism of Hamas, for instance, is the attacks on journalists. I think my delay is like a minute. Is he bending over backwards to justify war crimes? Are you talking about me? No. There's never been a moment where I have bent over backwards to justify war crimes. What I'm talking about is the time and place to make accurate assessments. Because there is, like, the way I see it is this is equivalent to this is always equivalent to like a kid in the park slapping you in the face after you've shot their fucking parents with a Desert Eagle. You know what I mean? It's like, which one is the far more severe issue to deal with here? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to hyper focus on the kid fucking slapping you in the face. Do you condemn the child? You literally just said, I think Hamas should be charged with war crimes, shaking my head. No, I said when the dust is settled, there are certainly war crimes that were committed, even on October 7, especially during October 7. And if there are any remaining militants that actually contributed to that, it is understandable to prosecute them, but it's also additionally understandable to prosecute them while matching their crimes against 77 years of apartheid. Do you understand? So it's not just about October 7, it's about the events that triggered October 7 that must be considered when talking about the actions taking place on October 7. And this is not, this is normal. This is how it happens. This is exactly how, the once the dust settles, this is exactly how things have gone down. This is what happened in the aftermath of the dissolution of the apartheid. French partisans perform some summary executions on suspected collaborators, sometimes without solid evidence as well. But you don't see anyone condemning the French resistance. Yeah, or even the Jewish partisans. That's it. You're literally modeling this after Truth and Reconciliation in South Africa, and people are crying, Lamont actually insane. Yes. By that logic, though, Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto should have been prosecuted. Not sure I agree with that. I mean, that is a totally separate issue at that point. But once again, there was no prosecution that you could commit in this circumstance because they died. They were executed, which is most likely what happened with many of the militants of Al-Qassam that participated in October 7. Not only were they executed, but their whole families were executed as well. Also, this doesn't mean that these people get imprisoned anyway.
It is completely legitimate to say destroy ISIS. These are organizations founded on violence, terrorizing innocent civilians, and it is always appropriate to express one's opposition to that. I don't think that it was anti-Semitic, and nor do I think it was inappropriate for a punk band, when this is a genre associated with pushing the boundaries, to lead a chant at what's effectively a concert.
Okay.
Yeah, Hamas themselves recognize that some fighters didn't respect the orders and thus committed war crimes. I think even them wouldn't be against prosecuting those fighters. But once again, it needs to be matched with the severity of the crime committed against all Palestinians, including those who are in the Al-Qassam brigades, who are a part of the Palestinian resistance. There is no equivalence between Hamas and Israel. None. None whatsoever. One is an emancipatory nationalist movement born out of being orphaned by an apartheid entity that was designed as a settler colonial, ethno-religious supremacist, fascist movement. Okay? There is no comparison. One is an understandable militancy born out of the violence, the unjustifiable violence of ethnic cleansing that the other committed towards the indigenous population on the land. Also, my assessment is not, when I say I'm certain that, there would be some kind of truth and reconciliation and would be, and that truth and reconciliation would be met with like the injustices that the Palestinian population has faced. My opinion is not unique to this. Hamas itself has said this. That's it. But once again, the reason why I don't care about having these conversations is because it is not only unproductive, but it's oftentimes cynically being deployed specifically to tar and feather the only armed group that is engaging in the morally righteous act that is legally afforded to them by defending the Palestinian population against a belligerent occupier doing an ethnic cleansing. That is a crime that contains multitudes. Genocide is a crime in and of itself. Ethnic cleansing is a crime in and of itself. But a belligerent occupier even attacking the Gaza Strip as the belligerent occupier is also a crime, even if ethnic cleansing wasn't the primary focus, the primary goal here. It is, which makes it even worse, which makes it even more unjustifiable. And this is before we get to the litany of other war crimes that they're engaging in the process of ethnically cleansing the Strip of all Palestinians. But none of that matters at this point. None of that matters. The Hamas militancy, the Al-Qassam brigades, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PFLP, DFLP, and numerous other groups that have taken up arms against the Israeli occupying force in the Gaza Strip that go out and actively kill Israeli occupying force soldiers in the Gaza Strip are unironically and unconditionally acting in accordance to international law. Every single Israeli occupying force terrorist that they kill in the Gaza Strip is completely legal. Every single soldier from the Israeli occupying force that is entering the Gaza Strip is illegally entering the Gaza Strip. They do not have any justification under international law to be a belligerent occupier that is forcibly invading the Gaza Strip. Do you understand? And this is not like, there is no gray area here. This is black and fucking white. Okay? It is black and white. Every single Palestinian that takes up arms against the Israeli occupying force in the Gaza Strip post October 7 has a moral and legal obligation to do so. It is not only legal, it is the moral thing to do. You can get mad at me for saying this, but it is just the truth. Okay? And there has never been a moment throughout history where we have treated, in the aftermath, when the dust is settled, we have treated people who have engaged in the legal right to resist against a belligerent occupier conducting an ethnic cleansing campaign with these indecent terms. That's it. Yeah. It does not matter what their political perspective or what their background is. There is no complication here. None whatsoever. The language is very clear. The legal language surrounding this is very clear. It's called a spontaneous militia, okay? They don't need to wear the proper garb of a militancy. They do not need to declare themselves as enemy combatants. They can use whatever method they can. It is literally legal, okay? The term for it is a spontaneous militia, which under international law gives them the legal right to straight up look like civilians with weapons while they fight against a belligerent occupying force. Okay? It's literally written in the law. This is not, again, not, a gray area. This is not, there is no like moral gray area here. This is straightforwardly a legal act. It is the appropriate thing to do. It is the legal thing to do. It is the righteous thing to do, morally speaking. Palestinian people have a right to defend themselves. Ironically, Israel does not have a right to defend itself against the fucking Gaza Strip. That's what's so crazy. Israel had a legal right to defend itself on October 7. If we're talking international law, we're not talking about like the morality of 77 years of apartheid, if we're just simply looking at cold, hard legal analysis, Israel had a right to defend itself, despite the fact that October 7 is conducted technically under occupied territory, regardless of the fact that it's internationally recognized as Israeli territory. Okay? Israel did have a right to defend itself on October 7 inside of the boundaries of what is known as Israel proper. If we're looking at it simply without, calm down, without factoring 75 years of apartheid at that time, which I think is obviously stupid not to factor in, but I'm saying just within the current legal standards that exist, I am not wrong. Israel did not have a right to blow up the Gaza Strip. Israel did not have a right to invade the Gaza Strip. Israel had no right to do anything to the Gaza Strip because the Gaza Strip is also under military occupation by Israel. Okay? Israel is a belligerent occupier of the entirety of the Gaza Strip. Israel controls all entry points into the Gaza Strip. There is a de facto siege upon the Gaza Strip. Therefore, everything Israel does to the Gaza Strip militarily is illegal. Even if you did not factor 75 years of apartheid, the only legal thing that Israel could have done during October 7, the military operation Al-Aqsa Flood, was to defend Israel proper. Anything past that point is completely and utterly illegal. It's that simple. Not that laws matter at all. Yes, under international law, Israel does, in fact, have a legal responsibility to protect the people in the territory that they occupy. They do. They don't do that because they're fucking pieces of shit, and they're also a monstrous entity that is tasked with ethnically cleansing the fucking Palestinian population. So obviously they don't do that. That is at direct odds with Zionism and its primary purpose. I'm just simply saying, even from a legal framework, what Israel has done is completely unjustifiable, immoral, and also outright illegal. Okay? It's pretty crazy, though, because, I mean, what Israel did after October 7 or even during October 7 is pretty, it was pretty obvious what they were going to do after. Their first act wasn't to actually secure Israel proper. It was to start bombing Gaza. Literally. And in the security operations, they also bombed their own citizens, their own civilians. We don't know the exact number. We will never know the exact number. But that was their goal on October 7, was to apply the Hannibal Directive, which Yoav Gallant, war criminal, former defense minister, who was defense minister at the time, has openly admitted Israel did apply the Hannibal Directive and killed their own citizens. What is this? Iconic podcast, Wine About It, announces Gen Z Jen Goodall, Maya Ohiga, will leave the show as co-host to focus on conservation work only 2 episodes after Hassan Piker appears. The hosts both blame Hassan, as does our editorial board. What the fuck? The end of an era, whine about it. Hassan is the most insufferable person on earth. Streamer Valkyrie is revealed to be the new co-host of Wine About It. She will co-host alongside Cutie Cinderella to continue the show. As former co-host Maya Higa focuses on her conservation work with Alvea Sanctuary, Hassan Piker should make no further appearances. What? Scott Jennings on CNN says Cutie Cinderella should be arrested. What did I do? How am I blamed for this? How am I catching strays? Why you ruin my favorite podcast? I mean, it's not going away. Cutie Cinderella went from one Asian co-host to the next. Why are you getting mad at me? I didn't do anything. Yeah, my episode did fantastic. 290,000 views. I mean, I say that's a success. Cutie said she wanted to be replaced on Fear and Maya could do the funniest thing. It says it's your fault, though. Yeah, it's Dick Sertonox is saying it's my fault. Yes. Because of these, listen, now that this news is out there, my beef with Gen Z Goodall, Maya Higa, is now officially over. Now, depending on how much Cutie Cinderella talks about how she loves Wine About It more than Fear and, I could start a new beef, potentially, with 100 Thieves Valkyrie in her stead. This will be difficult for me, as I am a supporter of all Swagapinos. See, doesn't it feel good to be a parasocial drama pervert? No. Dog, respectfully, who gives a fuck about this? Our country is literally falling apart. I don't know. I do. It's 6 hours and 13 minutes in. I think it's fine to sometimes have a little bit of fun. These are my friends, you know?
Okay, Kaya.
It's not even here. Where the fuck is Kaya? Kaya! Kaya! Come here. Come here. Who's your good girl? Who's your... Oh, God. You are so big. Jesus Christ. She literally, like, when she runs over, she pushes my chair. It's crazy. She's so fat. That was a good...
Okay, Kaya.
That was a good one. We're going to repost that.
Sit.
Hi. Okay. Kaya, please. She's the princess of grace and the queen of our hearts, you mutt. She is a princess. Have you seen this yet? What is this?
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm not going to fight for...
Oh, yeah. Of course I've seen this. Are you kidding me? The fucking Trent twins are awesome.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm not going to fight for fucking Israel.
World 3, whatever, bullshit.
Today's television Tomorrow it's New York. Nah, motherfucker, tomorrow it's chest day.
Today's Tel Aviv, tomorrow's New York. Nah, motherfucker, tomorrow is chest day. God, New Jersey.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm not going to fight for fucking Israel. Airborne 3, whatever, bullshit. Today's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it's New York. Nah, motherfucker, tomorrow it's chest day.
I think one of the craziest parts about this is that these fucking dudes they look like they're 37. They're like 22. Okay? They are literally like 22 years old or some shit. Yeah. Yeah. They're fucking 22 years old. That's what trend does to the body. They pre-ordered being 30. Yeah, no, it's just like the incredible amount of testosterone that they fucking took. Yeah, this is what steroids does to people. They called you a part of the film crew in this video of Phineas. I've seen that already. Your fans are crazy fast. Fear Am, but it's always sunny.
Look at me when you're talking to me!
Oh shit. The stakes are here.
Give it to me.
I'm trying to get it.
Gimme.
Why aren't the brakes working?
Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
What? Yeah, read it.
Dear Chase, oh shit, there's stickers.
Yeah.
My God. Oh,
Well, you
this
gotta
is
jazz
good.
it up, you
Yeah,
know?
you sure do.
I wanna make it
You
pop.
sure do. What's he doing?
Just shut up and let him work. What are some of your likes? Ghouls. Son of a bitch. What are you talking about now?
Funny little green ghouls.
What? Like in movies and cartoons? What?
Little green ghouls, buddy.
Don't write ghouls. I'm not. I'm putting travel. Jesus Christ. What are your dislikes? People's knees. Oh, come on,
Bro,
dude. Come on.
Oh, Jesus, just eat it with the skin
I
on
do
it.
not like it with the skin, D. I'm not